All right, guys, this is going to be the lecture for homework 18. If you take a look in the schedule, you'll see homework 18 and 19 both being taught today. It's because we used to have this all as one homework. We just split it up into two homeworks because it's really two ideas. It's not any more work than it used to be. You're still doing the same amount of work, but we split it up into two different homeworks to make it just a little bit easier to identify the different concepts. Okay, so 18 and 19, they will be coming out in the same day. They are both due on the same day. Pay attention to the schedule. So homework 18 is all about slope. You know what slope is. That's the nice thing. We've already talked about this, right? Slope is m when we talk about y equals mx plus b. The question is in today's homework or today's lecture is how to find slope. Because if you think about it, up until now, I've given you the slope in every problem, right? Y equals mx plus b. What's the slope? You know, it's whatever the m is, and then you graph with it. What if I don't give you the slope? What if instead I said, well, here's these 2 points, 1, 4, and 3, 11, right? Something like that. And it just says, find the slope. So that's kind of what the idea of homework 18 is. Here's 2 points, find the slope. So the nice thing is, jump straight into it. There's a formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that is the formula for slope. You will need to know this for the exam. Go ahead and make note of that. And this is from 2 points. And I'll explain what it means in just a second. This is how to find slope from 2 points, okay? 2 points being 1, 4 in this case and 3, 11 in the other case, right? So what's up with the y2, y1, x2, x1 and all that stuff? Well, remember what slope means. It means the change in y over the change in x. Some people like to say rise over run, but it is really the change in y over the change in x. Well, how do you find the change in something? Think about your last two GRU bills or your last 2 electricity bills. How'd you find a change in them? You subtracted it, right? 1 month it was 300, the next month it was 250, so the difference, the change was 50 bucks. So we're subtracting them. So you're gonna take your 2 y's and subtract them. And then over that, you're gonna or under that, you're gonna take your 2 x's and subtract them. The reason we say it in y2, y1, x2, x1 is just so we have it in an order so it doesn't get all mixed up. So let's just say here's our first point. We'll call it x1 and y1, and we'll call this point x2 and y2. What's up with the 1 and the 2s? It's just a label. It's literally just saying this is my first x and y, and that is my second x and y. It doesn't even matter which one you call x1 and y1. You could actually do them backwards. I'll show it to you in a minute. I don't want to do too much at once, but they're labels. It's just saying this is my first point, this is my second point, and that's really all it's saying. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump into the formula. Here we go. So we have our y2, which is 11, minus our y1, which is 4, over, and again, I'm just getting it from right here, x2, which was 3, minus x1, which was 1, 11 minus 4 is 7, 3 minus 1 is 2. So in this case, the slope between these two lines is 7 over 2. Pretty straight up, pretty straightforward. That's a nice thing. So homework 18, it'll be a short lecture. It'll probably be a short homework. You're just really using this formula to find the slope. That's all. Just understand that the x2 and the x1 and stuff are point labels. This is my first point. This is my second point, etc. Okay? Let's do some more practice examples here. And that's really all it is. Like I said, this used to be all combined into one homework, but because there will be another formula in homework 19, we want to go ahead and just do this by itself, let you get the formula here before we move on. One more time, I'll write it up here. The formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this comes from 2 points. Same thing I wrote on the last page. And the 2 points are just generically x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. All right. It's just labels, that's all. So from 2 points, you just follow the formula and there's your slope. So let's say we said find the slope between these 2 points. -4, 3 and -5, 7. The only thing that's really going to mess you up here is A, not knowing the formula, or B, messing up your signs, right? Just like we said at the beginning of the class, you've got to learn the signs. So if I told you to find the slope between these 2 points, you'd probably call that one x1, y1, and that one x2, y2, right? Does it matter? No. It's just a label. It's just me saying that's the first point and that's the second point. It doesn't matter which one you call which. Don't mix them up. Don't say x1, y2. Don't do anything weird like that. It's either the first point or the second point or the first point and the second point. Just don't start mixing them. Don't do anything weird like that. y2, which is -7. Now notice the formula is y2 minus y1. So that's y2, -7, minus, and y1 is 3. Be careful with your signs here. x2, which is -5. It is always minus, and x1 is -4. So this is indeed minus a negative. Make sure you pick up on that. Excuse me. It's probably the easiest and biggest mistake people make. All right. y2, -7 minus y1, which is 3. -7 minus 3 is -10. Watch your signs. And on the bottom here, we had x2, -5, minus x1, which is -4. So that's really -5 plus 4, right? -5 plus 4 is -1, and -10 over -1 is -10. So your slope is -10. You just got to watch your signs, y'all. That's really it. Just watch your signs, pay attention, don't get sloppy, you know, okay? And that's kind of really all we're doing here. The only other thing that could really happen, so either they'll give you 2 points straight up. Oh, you know what? I did say I'd do it backwards. So let me do that real quick, and then we'll talk about the other version. What if we had the same problem? So we already know what the answer is going to be. I just wanted to kind of prove the point to you here. What if you labeled these points backwards? What if I said, oh, that's x2, y2, and that's x1, y1? Well, now it's going to look very different, right? y2, which is 3, minus y1, which is -7. Again, or watch your signs now. y2 minus y1, which was -7. The negative's not very clear. x2, which is -4, minus x1, which is -5. 3 minus -7, that's 3 plus 7, so that's 10. -4 minus -5, that's -4 plus 5, so that's 1. And 10 over 1 is 10, just like we said it would be. Oh, what did I write over here? Oh, I caught my own mistake. Thank God for that, right? That's positive 10. Hopefully I said that correctly. Y'all knew that. You're probably just screaming at me, waiting on me to catch it. Yeah, negative and negative is positive. I maybe even said it, but I wrote it wrong. Careful, that is positive 10. And just like over here, 10 over 1 is positive 10. So if I hadn't made a mistake there, we have the same answer either way. Whew, good thing I caught that. So pay attention, guys. It does not matter which point you call x1 and y1, because I called it here x1, y1, and I called it here x2, y2. Just pick one. It's just a label. Here's your first point. Here's your second point. And make sure you get in your notes that this is positive 10 here and here. The answer should not change, okay? Let's do a couple more examples, and then that will really be it for homework 18. There's just not a lot to say here. It's just a matter of learning the formulas and getting it down. What if they gave you, instead of 2 points though, what if they gave you a graph, right? Something, you know, and I'll be drawing this by hand, so it's not gonna look beautiful. Something like this. Here's your line. And let's just say this was 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that, all right? First of all, if they ask you for the slope, you should be able to tell something right away. And this is helpful for kind of just checking your work. Look at the line. Is that line going down or up? Well, it's sort of a trick question because it's actually going both directions, isn't it? It's going down, but it's also going up. So you could say either way. Remember, though, that we read these left to right. So starting from the left and going to the right, you would agree it's on a decline. Think about your bank account. If your bank account looked like this, you would feel negative, correct? Slopes that, or excuse me, lines that go down, that descend from left to right should have a negative slope. I immediately know this slope has to be negative. If it's not, I've done something wrong, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's a nice, easy way to tell at least the sign. Now they say find the slope from this graph. Well, really what you need to do is identify the point. That point right there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That point there is 0, 4. It's also the y-intercept, isn't it? Doesn't really matter because we're not doing x and y intercepts, but that's what it is. And this point here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is 5, 0. So just label the points yourself. Even if they don't do it for you, just do it yourself. So what you have here is 0, 4, and 5, 0. Remember which one you call the first one and which one you call the second one. Does not matter. Just pick one. We'll call that x1. We'll call that y1. We'll call that x2, and we'll call that y2. If you did it backwards for me, you're going to get the same answer. Don't worry about it. So y2, 0, minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which was 0. Careful with your signs. 0 minus 4 is -4. Got the sun coming in weird here. Sorry about that, guys. 5 minus 0 is 5. So our slope is -4 over 5. And we knew it would be negative because of the shape of the graph. There is another way to do it. I don't really like this method because it's sort of inexact, but you can do this. Really, the slope is just the change in the y over the change in x. So if you start at one point and just say, how did I get to the other point? I went down 1, 2, 3, 4. So your change in y was -4. And then I went to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So change in x was +5. You can count it off. The thing is, if you're doing that on the test, you better be careful. You count wrong and the answer's wrong. Well, hey, I counted one of the blocks, or I counted too many lines. Well, I don't know what to tell you there. So be careful. Make sure if you're going to do the, approximation off the graph, be a little bit careful with your points. Let's do another one here. Something like this, maybe. And I'm just gonna approximate this. I'm just gonna, make this up. Let's just say this point here is 2, 5, and they may not give you a point. You might have to pick your own off the graph. Just make sure you pick one that's nice and clean. You know what I mean? And we'll do over here. We'll say -4, 3. And then they said, find the slope from this line. Well, the same idea is going to hold. You should already be able to tell if it's going to be a positive or negative. It's rising, isn't it? From left to right, it's rising. So the slope will be positive. I can tell you that already. So we've got the point -4, 3. Excuse, does that make sense? No, it's got to be -3, doesn't it? -4, -3. That wouldn't make any sense, right? If this was -4 and +3, it'd be up here. So that's -4 and -3 down there. And then we have 2, 5, 2 and 5 up here. And again, I'm just making the numbers up. And then maybe not the scale here. So let's call that one x1, y1. Let's call that one x2, y2. And let's do our thing. And again, it should come out positive. y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is -3. Be careful. It's y2 minus y1. So 5 minus -3 over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is -4. Watch the double negatives, y'all. 5 minus -3, that's 5 plus 3, that's 8. 2 minus -4, that's 2 plus 4, that's 6. Do not forget to reduce, so your slope is 4/3. Positive, which we knew it would be, right? Positive because of the sign or the shape of the graph, okay? The only other thing you got to watch out for here, and this is pretty minor, but you don't want to lose points for it. Some of y'all lost points for this on the second test, so this is your chance to go back and fix it. The other thing you're going to want to be careful with is the special lines. And what do I mean by special lines? Well, I mean vertical and horizontal, right? Let's say they asked you to find the slope between the following points. Let's say we said 3, -10 and 3, 0. All right? So no big deal. X1, Y1. It doesn't change how you do the problem. It just changes maybe the way the problem's going to look. So remember the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 being 0 minus y1, which is -10, over x2, which was 3, minus x1, which was 3. 0 minus 10, that's 0 plus 10, so that's 10. And 3 minus 3 is 0. And if you leave that as your answer on the test, it will be marked wrong because 10 over 0 isn't a number. Remember, 10 over 0, division by 0 is undefined. What kind of line has an undefined slope, right? Because we're finding the slope and it was undefined. Hopefully you remember. You will need to remember that that would make a vertical line because they might ask you that. So the slope of a vertical line is undefined. So if you get 0 on the bottom, it means it's a vertical line. It's no big deal, all right? Similar, now you know what's going to happen because I'm doing it the other way, but similar, let's say we had the points 4, -5 and 7, -5. Well, same idea, y2, which is -5, minus y1, which is -5. So it's -5 minus -5. Watch out for those double signs. x2, 7, minus x1, 4. -5 minus minus, that's +5. -5 plus 5 is 0, and 7 minus 4 is 3. Again, this is not the answer because 0 divided by 3 can be simplified to 0, which would make this horizontal. So be careful. You still have to remember your vertical, your horizontal, your undefined, your 0, stuff like that. But ultimately, this homework comes down to one formula right there. We will use this formula in homework 19, so make sure you complete 18 first. That's why we split these up into 2 homeworks, because students were kind of getting overwhelmed having both formulas given to them at once. So take a minute, stop, go do homework 18. It probably won't take you very long. Come back, watch 19, and hopefully 19 will be a little bit easier that way. All right? I will see you guys in the next one.